Hello everyone and welcome. I'm John Reyhons, the General Manager here at Iron Oaks. I'm with Dave Lott, one of our directors here. And Dave, thanks for joining me today.
Glad to be here, John.
Good to see you. And the point of this session is to talk a little bit about your background and your experiences on the board. So tell us a little bit about how long you've lived here, your professional life, and we'll jump into what you've done as a director.
I've lived in Ironwood about 9 years. As far as my professional life, I was a Marine combat veteran of Vietnam. I spent 40 years in law enforcement in Texas, 20 as a Houston police officer, and 20 more with the district attorney's office as an investigator. And basically have been retired since that ended back around 2007.
Well, terrific. That's a fabulous background, and thanks for serving. That's wonderful. We really appreciate that. Now, you mentioned you live on the Ironwood side, which is great.
I'm also the liaison for the Ironwood, not sure exactly what you would call it, but it's a group trying to determine what can be done to benefit Ironwood. There's been a conception for a number of years that Ironwood was a separate entity from Oakwood. That's not the case. I've never felt that way. I feel there's places on both sides that people from either side can go visit if they want to change the pace from something. They go to the other side. There are two different kinds of eating facilities, different pools, tennis courts, you name it. There's a lot of things on both sides.
Very well stated. I really appreciate that perspective as the community in total. Now, Dave, you were on the board previously, but just recently you were appointed by the board. Is that right?
I was appointed for a year term. Previously, I was on for 3 years. There was a lot more contentious areas at that time when I was on it the first time. This time, the board is pretty well balanced. I don't see any true squabbles or disagreements. We tend to work it out.
I agree with that. I think we've got a fabulous board, and Dave, I want to compliment you for all your hard work because you do a terrific job as our directors. So thank you so much. Now, you've been on the board now for several years. Tell us, what do you enjoy about being on the board?
Well, first, there was a lot of learning. Law enforcement career doesn't necessarily lend itself to being in a board position, but I've found a great deal of interest in the way the community operates. I learned a lot of legal expertise and some other things from our past manager of facilities, Brian Quillen. And these are things I did not know ahead of time. I enjoy the board. I enjoy trying to answer our residents' questions, trying to find answers for those questions, either in progressive work or whatever is required. And it's not an easy task. It's not something everybody would want to do. But quite frankly, I enjoy it. I get to see everything that's going on in the community. I have a bird's eye view, basically. And I don't mind being in an arbitration position. I did that a lot. So if there's two groups fighting against each other, I fit right in. I tend to be in the middle. And the hope I have is that I can get those opposing forces to somehow resolve their issues and let the board move forward, the HOA move forward, and the community move forward.
That's great. Well, again, I appreciate all your hard work and your enthusiasm. Now, the point of our discussion today, Dave, is to get more people interested in running for the board. What traits do you think would be best if someone is indeed interested in putting their name on the ballot?
A lot can come from prior positions as CEOs, CFOs, a good finance background, a good background in engineering, a good background in law enforcement, I've decided, since we have a couple of entities, the patrol and the ALC, who have the extra burden of trying to regulate not necessarily bad behavior, but behavior that doesn't comply with our rules and regulations. So there is a place for law enforcement. I think that there's a place for people with very specific backgrounds, like I said, financial, recording capabilities, secretarial places, things like that. But I think there's also a place for people who just demonstrate some common sense. That's where the balance comes in. I think our board fortunately has a lot of that. Several of them have been on the board before. And like me, they learned a certain percentage of what they needed for the board in that first segment and hope to improve on their performance in the second segment. So that's where we're at.
That's great. Well, Dave, I want to thank you for stopping by today. This has been great information. And for those of you that are considering running for the board, please stop by, say hi to Dave, say hi to me or any of the other directors, because we would certainly enjoy your participation. Thanks so much.